everyone. How are you? We are out in the wilderness. We are out in the elements. We're right up against one of my favorite trees. As you can see in the back, it is not a green screen. This is Mother Nature doing its thing. So I hope you like hearing birds. I personally hate bugs, so I got my spray. We're gonna be out here for a while. I really hope they don't chew me up because I hate bugs. I really do. So I'm gonna spray this while more people join the live. Thanks to our first lucky viewer. Today I'm gonna talk about how I went about the car buying process. Y'all, it's crazy out here. It is crazy out here. So remember years ago when you would get your tax refund and you would go get yourself a decent little car that was going to get you to and from work, take your kids to school? Y'all, it is crazy out here. This is not the same market that it was years ago, y'all. It is crazy out here. Even with all the preparation that I had and my OCD ass, y'all, it is crazy. So today I wanted to share some tips. I wanted to talk to you about my car buying experience, a lot of things that I learned along the way, being a woman, buying a vehicle alone, how I decided whether I was going to lease, finance, buy cash, what was the best for me, how I outsmarted the dealer. We're going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to talk about financial literacy, a lot of things that I learned during this whole situation. And thank God that this was a overall positive experience because we have all had bad experiences with cars, especially used cars. I said, not anymore. So today we're going to talk about avoiding the biggest money trap, the $700 car payment trap. Hola, Amira. So I don't know if you know this, but I have it written down. So Americans hold a record of 1.68 trillion in outstanding auto loan debt. So that means that a lot of, hold on. No, I'm gonna, hold on. Could you do some ASMR? So actually, I have a video coming up. It's going to be right after this one. It's going to be live. It's either going to go live tonight or tomorrow. And it is going to be ASMR. We're going to be counting money together, real money. So you're going to fall asleep to the sounds of crispy $100 bills, and that's where you're going to go to sleep listening to. And I actually feel like turning off hide all chat messages. There we go. Okay. So sorry, you guys. Your privilege of being able to chat with me while I'm doing this live has been revoked. Until y'all can act right, then it will come back. This is a very serious topic. I want to help people just by sharing my story. So y'all gonna have to act right. Okay, so Americans hold a record of 1.68 trillion in outstanding auto loan debt. That means that one in every four Americans has an outstanding auto loan debt. And the average monthly payment for a new car is $767. $767 for a car. And if it's a used car, $537. I'd be damned paying $537 for a used vehicle. I'd be damned. Listen, I understand times is rough. I understand everyone needs a vehicle to get to and from, but y'all, that's crazy. That's crazy. So first it's housing, mortgage, rent, then it's auto loan, then it's credit card debt, and then it's student loan debt. So I knew all of that going in to buy my next vehicle. I did a lot of studying prior to me starting the process of buying. So this was actually part of the financial literacy and knowing the game plan. So today we're going to talk about emotional decision making, dealership psychology, budgeting for the vehicle, survival mode versus smart planning. Because if you go in with a solid game plan, knowing your buy box, knowing exactly what kind of vehicle you want, exactly what kind of mileage, down to the color, this is going to help you out a lot because it's you as a consumer against the dealership. And remember, their job is to sell, 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 sell. So I learned a lot of things the hard way. So that's why I'm here today. And I want to talk to you guys about it, give you guys some insider tips. If you guys have been following me for a while, I have some other videos talking about being frugal, getting some more um, money for anything that you spend, getting cash back, getting rewards, making your money work for you. We live in a consumer society. We live in a corporation. So you, right now, you are a number. You are a number to your employer. How much money can this person make me? You are a number every time you walk inside the grocery store. You're definitely a number when you walk inside the dealership. So instead of playing the victim, play the villain. Like, know, know the game. That's what I'm just trying to tell you. Know the game. So so this is good. This video is going to be good for you, whether you're a first time buyer, you are rebuilding financially, because I know how difficult it can be buying a vehicle when you don't have the best credit. Let me see. If you're tired of paying your car payment, if you're a woman buying a vehicle alone, if you're doing this alone, whether you're considering going to a private seller or a dealership, if you're deciding between financing, leasing, cash, if you're buying a used car under pressure, that's a big one. Don't get bamboozled out here. Do not get bamboozled out here. Thank you so much for the like. I appreciate that. We're going to talk a lot about psychology and emotions because you need to get your emotions out of the equation. Salesmen know these tactics. They know how to feed off of your emotions because people are emotional buyers. Don't walk inside a dealership talking about, oh, I'm just looking to see what car would be best for me. We want to go on a road trip. I want to go visit grandma and take the kids and the huskies, and we want to go canoeing. Baby, you're doing too much. You're doing way too much. You're giving them way too much information, and you're letting them know that you already have an emotional attachment to a vehicle that you haven't even looked at. And then you already said that you don't have a solid game plan, that you're waiting to for them to tell you what car is best for you. You are supposed to know what car is best for you. You're the one that's going to buy it. Okay. So let me tell you a little bit about my story. I've had bad experiences in the past when it came to buying used vehicles. I have bought two used vehicles in the past, and they were through a dealership, and I had to, pay the loan back. So both of those cars ended up being trash. Lemons always gave me um trouble. Meanwhile, I was still stuck in the loan. So I'm paying double. I'm paying the loan and I'm paying maintenance for the vehicle. The dealership is not helping because they're like, all right, well, it's a used car. You bought it as is. You should know what you're getting yourself into when you buy a car as is. They don't give not a damn about your safety. They don't give not a damn about what you got going on. They're not going to give you a rental. you know, if you've been through it, you've been through it. So when I went through this process again, and I knew that I needed this vehicle to be a work vehicle, work means we're going to put this motherfucker to work. Means that this car needs to work every single day. It's going to be on the road. We're going to go from point A to point Z. I'm talking about, I want to take this car to Mars. Okay. It needs to be the perfect size for what I need it for, my needs, what I'm going to transport in the vehicle. I go to Lowe's and Home Depot a lot, go to property to property. I need this car to be a good size. I don't need the biggest car and I don't need the smallest car. I need something right in the middle. So that already puts me in the game. I already know, a little bit more on my buy box. Um, and then once I bought a Honda Pilot. It was beautiful. I loved it. And I bought that vehicle cash. And I loved not having a car payment. I loved owning my vehicle outright. I loved the vehicle, period. So I loved Hondas ever since then. And I took that into account when I sat down and I started making my plan. That's why I talk so much about having a game plan. So I knew once I decided, okay, right now is the time I need to go purchase a work vehicle. This is my buy box. This is how much I want to spend. I'm either going to finance or buy it cash. And I know that I want a reliable vehicle, and I want, by reliable, I'm talking about Toyota Camry, or a Honda Civic or a Honda Accord, because those are the most reliable vehicles, safest. Especially I love Hondas. The maintenance on that is not too bad. Gas, since it's going to be a work car, I don't want to spend a lot of money. Um, in gas, especially the way that gas prices are. So, boom, I know what kind of car I want. I know exactly what I need it for. I know that I'm either going to do finance or cash. If I'm going to do finance, I'm going to put it in the business name. Boom, that's something else because I need to tell that to the dealership. If I'm going to buy a cash, this is how much I'm willing to pay cash out the door. That already puts me ahead of the game because you're not going to sway me. The way that I am, once I say I want something, I want that. That right there. What I just told you in that buy box, that's what I want. I don't care what you tell me. I don't care what you throw at me. I don't care if you put a pink bow on top. I know what I want. Don't do that. Don't do that. Sorry, that's my dog. Eso no, papi. Eso no. I know, papi. We'll sit over here. Good job. Over here. He wants to roll around in the dirt. No. Okay. Drink break. So I say all that to say you have to know what you want and you have to know what you need. Keyword need, because everyone wants a beautiful, shiny vehicle because you look nice. Everybody wants that. But do you need it? Do you need it though? Okay. And if you got the money for it, go ahead. Absolutely. What I'm saying is, when you get bamboozled by how good something looks, that's when they get more money out of you. Because they're like, "Oh, yeah, you like it? It's a really nice car, right? It drives good, right? It looks good, right?" Do you notice that whenever you go to a car dealership and you test drive a vehicle, the car salesman sits next to you and he asks you a series of questions that you answer with yes? That's a strategy, bitch. I'm trying to tell you. Listen, nobody is gonna talk to you like this. That's why you come on my channel and I'm gonna talk to you like this. Somebody has to do it, and it's gonna be me. Se tuvo que decir. So that's a strategy. I ask you questions for you to answer yes to, because once you say yes a few times, once you say yes 3 times, it's going to be easier for you to say yes a fourth time. So their next question is going to be them asking for a buy. They're going to say, okay, so if you like the car, yeah, do you want to come inside so we can talk numbers really quick? Baby, some people smile with their mouth, but they do not smile with their eyes. Pay attention to that. So I went in there with a game plan. I went in there knowing that I'm going to get what I want. Do not stray. You have a mission and you have to get what you want. And they're not going to sway you into paying any more than you that is within your budget. So, me knowing that I was going to buy a used vehicle and that I was leaning more towards paying cash because I know myself and I know that I wanted ownership, independence. I don't trust these dealerships. I don't trust these slimy salesmen. So, how about I eliminate that burden of stress by just buying the car outright? Now it's fully mine, 100%. You're not going to come and repo this. I don't want anyone asking me for money every month. The vehicle is mine. So I knew that I was pushing more towards buying the car cash rather than financing. But I was still going to try to finance because I just wanted to see, what I could get approved for, what vehicle was out there, what the terms were. I was weighing out my options, but I knew what 2 options I was playing with, right? Okay, so let's talk about the strategies that the dealerships use. Oh my God, he's rolling around in the dirt, motherfucker. Wow. Anyway, I'll just bathe him. It's fine. So the dealership, there's a reason why as soon as you get on the lot, at the dealership, there's a reason why the car salesman asks you, so are you buying cash or finance? Now, you would think, you would think that they would want for you to say cash because, cash is king. You would think that, but they actually don't. They prefer dealerships and the car salesman, they prefer for you to finance because when you finance, you lock yourself into a contract. You have to pay this amount of money every single month. You have now interest that you have to pay for, so that makes the loan bigger and creates more streams of income for the dealership, right? It's more lucrative for them. And then if you don't pay, they just get the car back. They still make money because they'll sell it at the auction, or yeah, they sell it at the auction, and then another dealership is going to buy that car and then mark it back up. Okay, so there's multiple streams of income that benefit the dealer. You really have to do your math when it comes to buying a vehicle from the dealership. Do the math. For example, I was looking at this car again, the word vehicle, and it was a 2022. I got the VIN. Looked up the VIN on my own, Carfax and Good Car, because I like to use two different ones, um, Carfax and Good Car, and I did the assessment. Okay, I took the year of the vehicle, the mileage, and then it also gives you, a good estimate as to what the vehicle is worth based on the condition of the vehicle, the mileage, clean title, no accidents, et cetera, good condition, cosmetic, interior, and exterior. So those websites will, and then also Kelly Blue Book, you can use that so you can assess um, the estimate of the overall value of that car. So that car that I was looking at was a 2022. I forgot the mileage. Actually, I think it was like 98,000 miles, and it was valued at about $14,500. And I said, okay, cool. Um, and then I got approved for financing. And then we were working out the deal, and then they said, okay, so we can give this to you. We would need a $5,000 down, and the vehicle would be $600 per month for 60 months. I'm doing the math. 6 times 6, 36. So you want me to pay damn near $40,000 for a car that is worth $14,500? Like, you really think I'm that stupid? So they were calling me that we got you approved. What do we have to do just to get you in here? If you want, I can stay a little bit late. I know it's rush hour, and this dealership was about 40 minutes away from me. I thought it's in a really nice area. It's in the suburbs. I'm gonna go over there. They're gonna have a good deal. It don't matter who these people pretend to be. All right. At the end of the day, they just want money. Okay. And I know I look like a glazed donut right now. Y'all, first of all, baby, that's not sweat, actually. That's highlight, and that's a little bit of a tan that we got going on. We're catching the golden hour right now. Okay. So I did the math, and I'm like, and I told them, I'm not paying $36,000 for a car that is worth 14,500. I'm not doing it. And at that time, my credit was on the up and up. It wasn't absolutely terrible in the ground. It wasn't the best, but I was okay. Like, I could get approved for some stuff. So again, they try to play on your heartstrings. They try to do whatever lines they can use, they're going to use them. Don't get pressured. Do not get pressured. Even if you desperately need a car, do not seem desperate. Do not. Don't get caught up in a binding contract that does not benefit you. All right? Don't let them rip you a brand new one, is what I'm trying to say. So, um they said, okay, so what do we need to do to get you over here right now? Your car's ready. You can just come over here and test drive the car. Mind you, I hadn't test driven the vehicle. I was just trying to figure out the numbers first, and then I was going to decide, okay, I'm going to go over there, I'm going to drive the car, I'm going to have my mechanic come over here, drive the car, all of that. This is going to be a whole situation. But if I don't like the numbers, I'm not going nowhere. I'm not leaving my house to do nothing. So I told him I didn't like it. I said, $36,000 for a car that's valued at 14,500. I kept spitting out the numbers because they love to spin numbers at you. They love to disguise the overall cost of the vehicle, of the loan. Oh, but it's only going to be $600. And I say, no, I'm not paying $600 for a used car that's worth 14,500. No, if I'm going to pay 600, that means I'm paying the 14,500 out, not all these other things that you added, not the interest. And then once they see that you're not going for it, then that's when they will make their first move. And the first move will be to knock down the price. So when I said, okay, you know what, I'm going to think about it, and I hung up, the finance manager called me. And then he said, "Hey, Yesenia, you know what? I was able to take a look at your deal, and then I was able to bring down your monthly car payment from 600 to 400. So now he restructured the deal, and then that eventually knocked down the overall price from 36,000, the overall loan, to 29,000 and some change." I said 29,000. He said, "Yeah, that knocked down. That took off like about $6,000." I said, "So you want me to pay $29,000 for a car that's worth 14,500?" He said, "Oh, Yesenia, but you're gonna be able to build up your credit, and you just make your payments on time. And I know that you're gonna be able to make your payments on time because you're a responsible businesswoman, and blah 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 blah." I said, "I'm still not paying $29,000 for a car that's worth 14,500. It's not happening. It's not." I said, "I'd rather just buy a car cash and not have to deal with this." "Oh, but Yesenia, your credit, this is gonna," they try different things, they try different lines, and I say, "I pay my bills on time. My credit just went up 54 points the other day, and it's going to keep going up. I have other methods to make my credit go up. Don't let nobody bully you. Don't let nobody bamboozle you. There are other ways." I damn sure knew the only way was not to get locked in paying double for what a car is worth. You got the game fucked up. Absolutely not. I'm not stupid. I'm not stupid. And I let them know that I wasn't stupid. So they kept trying. They kept trying, kept calling me. And then this was another thing. This is something else that I wanted to mention: lenders. So I asked them which bank approved me, and they gave me the name. It was Consumer Services, Consumer Portfolio, one of those. Of course, I looked them up. Bad reviews. Bad, 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 bad. So they are considered a predatory lender. And I didn't want to get in bed with them. I said, no, absolutely not. I don't like to be bothered. That is just me. I don't like to be bothered. I don't like to feel like I'm doing business with somebody that I don't want to work with. I don't like to be bothered, period. Right. So when I saw that, I called them. Well, actually, they called me, and then I told them, I don't like that lender. I've heard very bad things about that lender. So that's another reason why I don't want to take the deal, because they were really trying. They were on my line. They were calling me, texting me, emailing me, putting different people on the phone. And I said, no. I said, I don't want to work with them. "Oh, well, we have another lender." They called another lender. That other lender called me, and that other lender, was pitching the deal to me. And then I looked up that lender. Same reviews, predatory lending. I read the reviews of other people that had very bad experiences, and I said, absolutely not. I'm not going to risk it. I understand that not everyone has a bad experience, that some people do have good experiences and they just mind their business, they just pay, and that's it. But I did not want to run that risk. I was not going to do it. I just know myself. I know what I'm willing to do and what I'm not willing to do, what I felt the most comfortable with. And I just said, absolutely not. I'm not letting these people have not a dollar from me. I don't want to be their client. I don't want them to know my name. I don't want them to have my social security. I don't want them to know where I stay at. I don't want to do business with these people. I just had a bad taste in my mouth from all the reviews that I had read. And I said, I'm not doing it. So I killed that deal, and I said, absolutely not. We're not doing that. Um, so that was with the dealership. And this was allegedly supposed to have been a very good dealership. This was supposed to have been, so this was a Ford dealership, and I'm not talking shit about all Ford dealerships. I'm just saying I had called them, and I had, inquired about a vehicle that they had on their lot, because I read the reviews before I called, and I looked at their inventory, and I looked at the Google image of how it looked, because, this dealership is like 40 minutes away from where I live. So I thought it would be a nice dealership. But business is business and that's how they handle business. So I decided not to go along with them. And I also pressed stop when they kept texting me, because if a dealership continues to communicate with you after you already press stop, don't text me anymore, then you can sue them up to $1,500 per text message. Just putting that out there. Email, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think you have to manually unsubscribe. But I know for sure texting, it's like against the Spam Act. So I said, fuck that deal, basically. So now I'm on my own. And now I said, well, I can't go to the big dealerships because look at how they're acting. So now I have to do my own boots on the ground type work. And I have to go and look at these cars myself. So I said, I'm going to filter these vehicles down. I know my buy box. I know what I'm looking for. I know the year, and I know the buy box within the year of the car. I don't want it to be too old. I don't want the mileage to be too high. Um, I I'm fine with a neutral color because it's going to be a work car. I did not want a red vehicle because this was going to be a car for work, obviously, and according to feng shui, red is not a good color for cars, whatever. So I'm preferring now to do private buying from a private seller. So where am I looking for private sellers? Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, Auto Trader, and then sometimes some private sellers will have their vehicles on consignment at the dealership. So for about 2 weeks, I'm looking on the internet all over the place. I reached out to this one dealership owner that I had worked with before, and I told him what I was looking for in my buy box, and he said, I have a car coming. You can come and take a look at it. Once it's here, it should be here by this date. And I said, cool, I want to be the first one to see it. Now I want you to pay attention to this because we're going to circle back um on this story. You're going to be like, what? So I have done business with this person before, and I had seen their work. I seen how they take care of their vehicles, and they seemed very professional to me. Um, yeah, they just seemed very professional to me. So that's why I said, okay, I want to work with you. Let me know if you have a car coming in, and I want to be the first one to see it. He said, that's no problem. Fine. So he's not texting me, he's not calling me, and I'm like, damn, he probably forgot. He's probably showing the vehicle to other people. So I finally kept reaching out. And then he said, okay, well, the vehicle is not ready yet, even though it had already been about a week. And I need to buy this work vehicle because I need to get this car to work. Like I need it to start moving around. So I'm pressuring him at this point. And I'm thinking, why isn't the car ready yet? How long does it take you to get a car ready? Like, you work with cars all day long. Why isn't this car ready yet? And you've been telling me about this car for over a week. So he said, okay, you can come tomorrow, and you can come with your mechanic. I said, okay, cool. So now, because I'm on my own, going off of the internet, I'm messaging private sellers and smaller dealerships. Um, I'm basically trying to sift through all of these cars and narrow it down to three, so that I can take one day to test drive these vehicles with my mechanic so that I could get it down to one final one and then make my purchase. I want to take a step back and say why I chose not to lease a vehicle. They say it's a saying, lease is for luxury or luxury is for leasing. So basically, there are pros and cons to leasing a vehicle. Like I said, this was going to be a work car, so this car was going to get some miles on it. So leasing a vehicle is best for a luxury car that you're not going to put as many miles on. It's typically going to be, stop, stop. He's going to bark, y'all. Just give him a moment. So for a vehicle that you're leasing, stop, stop. because a pit bull is passing by. He thinks he's tough. So it just wasn't going to work for me and for my needs. So that's why I decided not to lease the vehicle. Maybe if this was going to be like a Porsche that I was going to use to go to the bank, go to USPS, run errands, things like that, then yeah, maybe it's something that I'm not going to put a lot of miles on, something that I want to keep the um maintenance on that I don't have to worry about, then yes, a lease would be um a benefit, but in this case it would not be. So now I'm thinking about buying cash. I'm buying cash because, like I said, I don't trust these dealerships. I don't trust these salesmen. I don't want to do business with them. I don't want to pay the interest. I ain't trying to deal with y'all like that. So I just want to pay the car cash. And like I said earlier, you would think that they would be okay with you buying cash, but they really want to get you to finance because they're going to get more money out of you in the long run. So already buying cash, I'm at a disadvantage. They would prefer finance. So, now that I'm getting more serious, now it's time for me to hire a mechanic, for me to start communication with a mechanic, test him out, vet him, and make sure that I have someone that is going to be reliable, someone that's going to tell me the truth, someone that's going to give me an accurate quote of what this vehicle, if this vehicle is even worth me looking at, me worth considering, and two, what type of maintenance is this vehicle going to need once I purchase it? Because remember, it's a used vehicle. And even if you were to buy a used vehicle from the dealership, listen to me. Listen to me when I tell you this. You still need to get that vehicle looked at by a professional mechanic. Okay? I don't care what they tell you. I don't care how many times they tell you, "Oh yeah, it's a good car." Yeah, it's new. It's a trade-in. Yeah, it's a good car. They're going to tell you that a million times. You're going to hear that a million times and you're going to remember me. They're going to tell you it's a good car. That's their best and favorite line. It's a good car. Don't believe not shit they say. Don't believe not shit they say. You take your mechanic, you get that VIN, and you come fully informed. Okay? Even if you get it from a dealership that looks good, they got shiny cars on the lot, they got balloons, everyone looks nice, they got their polo shirts tucked in, khakis, hair slicked back, smiling. Don't believe them. Okay? So now I had to hire a mechanic. Now, I know that in your hometown, you will have your uncle, cousin, uh, friend, neighbor that does mechanic work out of their garage. Yes, that's cool. For me personally, two reasons why I hired a brand new mechanic. Number one, because I needed someone that was unbiased. I needed someone that was neutral, does not know me, and wants to gain my business, which means he wants to impress me, right? It takes a lot of time, effort, and sometimes money to gain new clientele. So referrals are best. So how did I go about? Oh, and then the second reason is that I travel for work. So a lot of the times I won't know people where I'm at. So I go into boss mode. I have to hire someone. I've been hiring and firing people for about 3 years now. So I'm used to this process. I go with my intuition a lot. I really do believe that women's intuition is a superpower. And then, I just have the ability to feel people out. And I do have a list of things that I'm looking for. So, how did I find this mechanic? I put a post up that way I could avoid paying for an ad. I put up a post on Facebook in the neighborhood group and I just said, I am looking for a mobile mechanic that will come with me and come take a look at cars, diagnose them because I am considering purchasing a vehicle soon. And immediately I got people commenting. They were, either the mechanics themselves, they were telling me, "Hi, my name is." Sometimes they link their business page. Sometimes they put their flyer under there, whatever. Sometimes other people refer their mechanics that they've worked with. So now the ball is in my court. Now I have to go through the process of vetting, looking for, asking questions to see what mechanic is going to work best for me. First person that I call, I go down the line. So the first person that wrote their mechanic's name and number, I called them. Their phone number was off the hook. I said, "Oh, well, I can't, hire them." And then also it makes you think, well, if they don't even have their phone on, then they are losing out on opportunities. They don't even have money to keep their phone on. It's a cold world out here. It is what it is. I I called the second person. The second person was rude on the phone, and I remember I had specifically asked for a mobile mechanic. So when I was speaking to that mechanic, I said, "Hey, this is what I'm looking for. Are you able to come with me to take a look at these three cars?" And he said, "Absolutely not." He was just being rude, and I said, "Okay, I'm sorry. Someone referred you to me, and they told me that you were a mobile mechanic. No, you're gonna have to bring the car here." I said, "Okay, sir, thank you so much. Have yourself a great day." Click. I pick and choose my battles. I was not gonna let him get to me. I said, "Whatever." I consider me being a client as a blessing. So I said, "This blessing is not for this person. Fuck him." So then I got to the third one. I'm going down the line. And the third one was a referral. I remember it was a lady that referred him. So I called him. He spoke English and Spanish. I said, "Cool." And then I told him a little bit about what I wanted. And then he said, "Yes, I can do that." And then I asked him, "Do you do this full time? Are you a mechanic full time?" And he said, "No, I have other businesses, but I'm flexible." And I said, "Okay, other businesses. I see you. I'm speaking with a businessman. This is cool." He said, "But you tell me what day you need me, and I will let me know ahead of time. I will clear that schedule, and then I'll come to you, and then we'll go and take a look at the vehicles. If you have multiple vehicles to look at in a day, I'll work out a number with you." I said, "Bet." So then I said, "All right, cool. I got my mechanic. This is cool." I still was going to test him throughout the week. Throughout the week, I was going on these test drives by myself, knowing the little bit that I knew about vehicles, and then doing VIN searches before I even left the house. So this brings me to another point. When you are looking at cars, especially, everything is done online now, the seller should always be able to provide the VIN number. If they do not want to provide the VIN number, you move on. Okay, you move on. So a lot of the time, I don't know how many cars I looked at, did research on. I really don't know. I ended up paying for a 7-day unlimited report search under Good Car just because it's a little bit less expensive. Well, a lot of bit less expensive than Carfax. So when I was doing my searches online and I was speaking with the seller, I would tell them, "Give me the VIN number or give me the Carfax report or both." Obviously, both, right? So I went with their Carfax report and I compared it up against my Good Car report. And then depending on what I saw on there, I would decide if I would want to pursue, talking with them more about it, talk about the price, set up a date for me to go and test drive. Remember, I'm still looking to see if it's a clean title because that was non-negotiable. I wanted the mileage to be under a certain amount. I wanted the car to be under a certain year, and I didn't want a red car. So I'm sifting through all of this, and then I by myself ended up test driving about 12 or 13 cars. And out of those, I got narrowed it down to 3. And I scheduled them all for a last test drive on a Thursday, and then that was the day that I was going to go with my mechanic to go, have him check it out, full inspection. And of course, he was charging me per vehicle. He ended up charging me. Originally, it was gonna be $80 per vehicle inspection, but then because it was 3 in one day, he charged me $50, and then obviously, if I were to buy a vehicle, then I would have him do the maintenance on it. So this was a good deal for the mechanic as well. He gained a new client, um, did a three-piece on one day, and then literally the next day, he came into the tune-up, okay? So these are some things, some red flags that a lot of people sometimes bypass in the car buying process, and it's because you don't know better, and then because car salesmen, they're just trying to move the car, and they will try to bamboozle you. They will avoid certain questions, avoid giving you certain answers. They'll act dumb. They'll shift blame or shift ownership. Oh, it's not my car. Oh yeah, no, I'm just taking care of the car or whatever. They will tell you any little thing. Don't trust them. Don't trust them. All right, so these are some things that I didn't like. Y'all, I literally wrote this. Slimy salesman, cars that were not cleaned. That was a big deal for me. I understand it'll be a used car, but baby, if you're asking for thousands of dollars for this product, at least fucking clean it. Now, I'm not gonna be, bamboozled just because they'll do a really nice detail on a car, but the car will be crap. But at least clean the car. I went and looked at a couple vehicles myself. I'm really good with communication because I work for myself. I know how much someone's time matters. I respect people's time. So I would tell these car salesmen, appointment setters, hey, I'm on the way. Hey, I'm running late. Hey, I'll be there in 20 minutes. Hey, I'm right here. I'll be right there. So they can be expecting me. And without me telling them, I was testing them to see how their presentation was going to be. Were they going to have the car clean? Were they going to pull out the car? Um, there were a couple of times where I pulled up to the dealership, and even though I told them I'm on the way, I'll be right there in 10 minutes, I would show up and then they would have me walk with this car salesman all the way to the back to the pen to go look at the car that's hidden in between all these other cars, can't even get the car out, gotta move 20 cars just to get to that car. I was like, "That's a bad sign. Motherfucker knew I was on my way. You're gonna waste my time like this? What's up with the presentation?" Like, no, absolutely not. Then we finally opened the car. The car hasn't been started in 2 months. The car is dirty. It smells like man, man sweat. I'm like, "I don't want this." And he's like, "Oh, you don't wanna test drive it just because of that?" I'm like, "Yes, because it's the overall picture." Absolutely. Y'all, if someone is trying to sell you something, think about it. When you watch HGTV or something like that, they know you better not bark. You better not bark. They have to know their product inside and out, upside down, round and round. They need to know every single thing about that product because they are trying to sell you the product. They need to be confident in their product. They need to love that product, think about that product, you know, dream about it. You better not bark. So when I show up and you're trying to get thousands out of me for a car and you can't even clean it, you can't even take it out. When I gave you enough notice, I understand sometimes people will say, "Yeah, I'm coming to see the car. I'm coming to see the car," and they never show up. But motherfucker, I told you I was coming. So I took that into account. So there were a few cars that I went to go look at that I ended up not driving. There was probably about 2 of them, and it was because of that. Poor presentation. Poor presentation. Absolutely not. Listen, I don't care. Stop. I don't care how bad I needed this perfume. I literally had told some of my clients, "Hey, I'm not gonna be able to come see you this week because I need to handle this." They said, "Okay." So I sacrificed my time, my money just to do this. So I'm gonna need a good presentation, and I'm not desperate either. Even though I desperately needed a vehicle, I was not desperate. I was not giving off that energy whatsoever. You want to know why? Because that's how you get God. Okay. When you give out desperate energy, that's when you get got because you're not thinking clearly, you're thinking with your emotion. And what do we say at the beginning of this video? Get emotion out of the equation because car salesmen will work off of your emotions to get the sale. And that's how you get pressured, and that's how you get bullied, and that's how you get caught up um, in a binding contract that was not going to work, or that's how you get stuck with a vehicle that does not work. Okay. So get emotions out of it. What else didn't I like? When some VIN numbers had mileage discrepancies. So remember, that's fraud. when they turn back the mileage to make it seem like the car has less mileage than it actually does. It's hard to do, but a good car mechanic will know the actual real mileage on it. So, good Carfax can also um, catch that up, and it'll be like a little bit of a red flag. You have to know what you're looking at. So, whenever I saw VIN discrepancies and mileage discrepancies, I said immediately no, because they're just trying to bury something. I don't want no problems. I knew I wanted a clean title and I wanted the real miles. That's it. I don't care about what else you guys got going on. If I suspected anything like that, I just was not going to do business with them. I care a lot about who I do business with. Okay? That's a big thing. It's the product and then also who I'm doing business with. I'm going to repeat this. Anytime I heard it's a good car, I don't give a fuck how many times you tell me it's a good car, it's a good car, it's a good car. I don't believe you. I'm going to check. I know how to check. I know certain things about cars. Now, I'm not a mechanic, but I know, hey, there's a light on the dash. Hey, let's go take this car to AutoZone and let's plug it up, since the car dealership said, "Oh no, we don't have that machine, the machine that you plug up to the car to see what codes are coming up." The car dealership will tell you, "Oh, it's because our mechanic is not here today." That's another one. Our mechanic is out. Our mechanic is sick today. He didn't come. Whole time mechanic is standing right the fuck there. Oh, he's not here? Okay, so when we test drive this car, I did this. So when we test drive this car, can we pull up to AutoZone? I just looked it up on my maps. It's 800 feet away. Can we go there so I could plug it up so I could see what code is on? Because maybe it's not that big of a code. Oh, yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah. Because they want you to test drive that car. They want you to test drive it so they can ask you the 3 questions that you're going to answer yes to. So yes, yes, I pulled the fuck up to AutoZone and I got the report and I printed it out and I took a picture and I sent it to my mechanic through WhatsApp and I told him, "Oiga, ahorita estoy manejando este carro. Esos son los códigos que salieron. Usted dígame qué opina. Yo ahorita estoy manejando este carro y honestamente yo sé que los frenos se le van a tener que cambiar. Tiene aquí estas luces prendidas. Mire, aquí le mandé una foto. Rechina el carro, oiga, right there next to the car salesman. I don't care. I don't care, baby. I'll say it. English and Spanish, sign language, you name it. I'ma say it. I'ma say it. Cause you're trying to bamboozle me. You're trying to put me in a situation. I'm gonna put you in a situation. And I'm gonna say it loud too. If there's other people in the dealership, other customers, I'm gonna say it loud. This is another thing. Depending on who I was in front of and how I gauged the car salesman, the people that were, working in the dealership, one of the very first questions that they asked me were, "Oh, so do you speak Spanish? Because your name, I saw it, Yesenia Alvarez. It's a very Hispanic name." Sometimes I would say, "No, I don't. I don't speak Spanish." And I would throw them off completely and I would say, "Oh, no, I was born here. I don't speak any Spanish. I don't understand it much." And I would just make sure that I wouldn't speak Spanish, on the phone or anything, because it did happen a couple of times where they were talking amongst themselves and they would say, "Dile que sí, que se va a revisar, pero eso va a ser ya hasta después de que compre el carro." Which basically meant, yeah, 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 just tell her that we're gonna check that, and but we'll fix that after she buys a car. Listen, if you're buying a used car, you really don't want the mechanic at the dealership to work on your car. You really don't. But it was worth asking just as a character check, just to see how they'll act. Yes, this was exhausting. Yes. But this taught me a lot about how people are. People are slimy. Okay. I would have mechanics sitting right next to me and I'm asking questions about the car. What's that sound? What's this? Why is that light on? And they would always say the same thing. Oh, it's just a sensor. You know how many times I heard, oh, it's just a sensor? A lot. A lot of times. Oh, it's just a sensor. Okay, so can we have your mechanic check? Um, yeah, well, our mechanic, he's out. I said, he's standing right there. Just said, oh no, yeah, I said he's the mechanic, but he's not our mechanic. So why the fuck is he here? Little stupid stuff like that. They will forget their lies. They will dismiss your concerns. Oh, nothing's wrong with the car. It's just a sensor. Nothing's wrong with the car. You drove it. I'm like, yeah, I felt all the bumps. Yeah, the car lags. Yeah, the car has a smell. Smells like mold. Why is the car all wet? When a car is all wet and you see mold, you want to know what that means? That means it's a hurricane car. That means that, hold on. If you check the VIN and if you see that the car has moved around a lot, and if it's been in a state where they get hurricanes or flooding, and then you open that car and it has a funky, humid smell, and then it looks like they put baking soda on the floor, baby, that's a hurricane car. That car was considered a total loss by the insurance. They sold it to the auction. Whoever's selling it to you, they bought it for about $1,500 and they just marked it up to 8 grand. And they're trying to sell you that. I learned a lot during this process, y'all. Rush you inside to talk numbers. So I went on this one test drive with another woman. Also, listen, even if you're dealing with men or women, they see you as a dollar sign. Okay. They see you as a dollar sign. They will be quick to get you inside because it's a psychology thing. The longer that they keep you on the lot, the more probability of you purchasing a car because you've already invested so much time. Fuck it, we're already here. We've already spent 4 hours here. Let's just get a car and let's just be over with. They do that on purpose. So she was like, okay, do you want, let's come inside and let's talk numbers. I already knew I wasn't going to want the car because of how they were acting, of how they were dismissing my concerns, about the lights that were on the dash. I had already gone to AutoZone. I had gotten the report, and that was just very basic. That was before my mechanic ever even came. God knows what he was going to find. And then they were talking about I had already assessed the vehicle prior to me getting to that dealership. I think that was like the second to last car that I had looked at. They were selling that car for 10 grand. I offered them 5,500. They basically laughed in my face, which was cool because I was laughing in their face when they asked for 10 grand. That car is not worth no 10 grand. And that's before the mechanic made his inspection. Yeah, it was crazy. So she said, we absolutely cannot do that, but we can meet somewhere in the middle. How about if we give it to you for $6,500 and then plus, our dealership fees, tags, registration, blah, 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 it'll put you at the $8,000. And I'll say, no, it's not. That car is not worth $8,000. She's like, oh, but you saw the car. You saw nothing was wrong with the engine, nothing was wrong with the motor. That bitch was not a mechanic. And I know I ain't either. But you are not about to lie to me, girl. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So that's how I had to deal with that. And the entire time that I was going on these test drives by myself, I if I liked a vehicle enough, I would send voice messages to my mechanic and I would let him know what I found. And I did this for a couple of reasons. Number one, so if, depending on what he told me, I could eliminate that car from the list. And then also to test out my mechanic to see, is he only going to give me advice if I pay him? Or is he along with me for this ride? And he was along with me for the ride. So when I would tell him, hey, you know what, this is what I found in the car, this and that, he was like, you know what, based on what you're telling me right now, it's honestly not worth it because of A, B, C, and D. So that's how I was able to eliminate a lot of cars and got it down to the three. Then the day finally came. And I said, I need to make a purchase ASAP because I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm stressed out. I've already lost a couple of days of going to see some of my clients because I'm over here dedicating all of my time and attention to this. Y'all ever cry a little bit right before you had a breakthrough? Yes, y'all. I cried a couple of times. I was like, why does this have to be so hard? This is not the same as it was before. I remember a couple of my dog is he's consoling me. He thought I was really crying. Not right now, Papa. Earlier I was. But Y'all, it is crazy out here. That's why I wanted to make this video because it is crazy out here. People are getting robbed. Okay. If you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know about cars, take somebody with you, do all of your extensive research. I promise you it will all be worth it. Um, so I got it down to the final three. And all three cars were in different prices. So I had one that was really low price and it was private seller. Then I had one that was mid-range, which was like at the sweet spot, really sweet spot. And he was it was a small dealership. And then I had the highest one that was mm, on the highest end of my buy box. But that last one is that guy that I was telling you about that I had been waiting for him to say his vehicle was ready for me to go check it out. So I go to see the first. So now it's the day my mechanic and I meet up, and now we're going together to go see these three cars. So I also let my mechanic know. I let him know exactly what I needed the car for. I need it to take me to Mars. I need the gas to be good. I need this to be very little maintenance because I don't got the time. This car needs to work. Okay. I've already lost enough time. I reiterated all of my needs. And if I had already test driven that car that we were about to look at and he was going to go look at now for the first time, I had notes and I would tell him, okay, so I like this car, but this is what my concern is. Or I like this car, but the price is, and I'm going to try to get it down. So if you can tell me during your diagnostic what exactly this vehicle needs, does it need a tune up, and what exactly does it need in the tune up, give me that exact quote of what it's going to cost me for you to do it, and then I'll try to negotiate the price with the seller. So, the first car that we went to go look at, they changed the VIN. Y'all, people are reckless out here. If you don't know nobody, you're gonna get got. You're gonna get got. Listen, if you want to buy a salvaged, a rebuilt title, if you want to buy a car with a VIN that doesn't match, go ahead. I don't know nothing about that. I just know how to identify it. I ain't dealing with it. You want to deal with that? You go ahead. That's why I specifically said clean title and clean VIN. That's it. So that was the first one. So we got that one out the way. I really wanted that one to work out because it was the lowest price, but hay veces lo barato sale caro. Sometimes when you go cheap, that shit is going to cost you a lot more in the end. And I do not want problems. So that was that one. And then we went to see the second car, the one that was mid range. And that one I had liked. I really did like that. I just had some concerns when I was driving it, but that was all due to the tune up that it needed. So, it's a used car. It's an older vehicle, not that old, but it's decent. It just needed a tune up, a regular tune up. And then we went to the third car. So the third car, remember, was the highest one. And I had been waiting for this car because the guy that was selling it, I knew him, or I thought I did. Y'all, why did I get to see that car and it was not at all what I was expecting? Because I'm used to seeing really clean, nice cars from this guy. He owns a dealership, and had I not known any better, I would have been like, okay, yeah, this is a good car because he's selling it to me. Because remember, people are emotional buyers. People will buy the person first before they buy the actual product. If this person is selling it to me, that means it's good. Why was he trying to sell me a hurricane car for $8,000, damn near nine, with taxes and fees? Y'all, you open up the car and it smells like straight funk. The carpet is all wet. They have already had that car for at least a week. I had been waiting. You know how long a week is for an entrepreneur? A long ass fucking time. I had been waiting patiently, and he knew it too. He not one time told me that was a hurricane car. Not one time. The title was clean. The mileage, it was up there. It was a newer car than the mid-tier car that I had looked at, but I was not about to get bamboozled. The interior, the cosmetic of it, It really wasn't worth it. It really wasn't worth what he was asking for. So I said no, and my mechanic did go with me. We test drove the car. It was gonna need the same amount of maintenance, a regular tune-up, than the mid-tier car was. So lo and behold, what car did I choose? The mid-tier one. So I had test driven that vehicle by myself once, and then my mechanic went to go do the diagnostic on it. He didn't test drive at that time. So when I finally decided, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna go with that car, I went back the next day. Now, vehicles go fast, and I was in desperate need of a vehicle. I definitely was. But I wasn't acting desperate, because if a car is meant to be for me, it's going to be for me. If anything is meant to be for you, it's going to be for you. That doesn't mean sit on your ass and don't do nothing about it. That means you can relax just a little bit, just a little bit. So that also gave me some negotiation room, because the seller was like, hey, you already came and test drove that car, and your mechanic came and he, did the diagnostic on it. If you're going to buy the car, you got to come into the shop, because it's going to take you a couple hours to check out, because you got to get the license plate, you got to get your insurance, it takes a while. Like, he was getting impatient. He wanted to let that car go, because he had that car for about 2 months sitting on the lot. So this gave me a little bit of leeway. I said, bet, let me try to see if I can negotiate. So I got the quote from my mechanic, and he said, you know what, this is what you need for the vehicle. Just regular tune up. You need the spark plugs, you need the air filter, engine oil. You're good on the engine oil. What else? Just fill up the fluids, and you need all 4 brake pads. The tires are good for right now. And the vehicle was clean. No smell, no nothing. Interior intact, outside intact. It was good. So for everything that he needed to do with the tune up, and that included the parts, and that included the warranty that I get on the parts and on the labor, my mechanic was charging me $600. So on top of the purchase, so now we're going to talk about budgeting. So the vehicle was for sale for $5,500 plus taxes, um, the tags, the license, the title, the registration, all out the door. It was going to be like $6,657. I was trying to negotiate him down to, I think, 5,000. 5,000. So, those 500 that I would have been saving, I would have just paid my mechanic with that. That would have gone towards the tune up. But the seller said no. I was like, wow, damn. He said, no. He said, I know what I have. I already lowered the price on that vehicle, because that vehicle has been sitting on the lot for 2 months. So I know what I have. And I said, okay, he's firm. But you know what? I respected it, because we had already looked at that car 3 damn times, and we figured that car is decent for the price. It's not bad. So I said, all right. So I went back the next day, and this is how I know my mechanic was decent, because he said, I had already paid him for going with me to go see those 3 vehicles. Hi, thank you for the likes. I appreciate that. He said, tomorrow, when you show up to the dealership at 9 a.m., wait. I'm going to go with you, and I'm going to drive it one last time before you make the purchase, before you drop that money. And I said, okay. So he went with me, test drove the vehicle again, took pictures of the VIN, in case I were to have bought it and he was going to start buying parts. He said, it's a good car. He said, if you don't buy that car, I'll buy that car, and I'm gonna buy it for my wife. And I said, okay, well, that's a good indication right there. If he's willing to put his wife in there, it must be a good car. So I decided to go with that car. And y'all, I fight to the end. I fight to the end. If you've been watching my videos, you already know I like me. I like to save some money. I like to I'm not a tire kicker, because when it comes to something that I really want, baby, I pay the price. And I could pay the full price if I really want to. So I went there, and then when it was time to, remember, I had to pay for the vehicle, which was 5,500, plus the dealer taxes and fees. That was going to come out to like $6,657. Then I had to buy insurance for the vehicle, so that was $250. with Progressive. And then I decided to add AAA because y'all know me, I'm a little extra. And I just felt a lot safer having AAA, not having, I felt a lot better having AAA. So that was another $40. Stop it, Papa. So when it came time to pay and I was paying cash, I told the girl because I had already, established contact with her, and I told her, "Hey, I only have 6,600 in cash. The rest that you need, I have it on my debit card, but I don't have Zelle, so I can either Cash App to you, Venmo, PayPal, something." And then she's like, "Okay, we can just, if it's debit card and you have it with you, we can just swipe it." And I said, "Okay, cool." So during that process, I'm tired, y'all. Like, I can't wait to get this car. I'm tired. Like, the end is finally near. I'm still thinking about how I got to pay my mechanic the next day, how I got to pay for insurance, how I got to do this, how I got to do that, how now I got to buy the toll pass and all this other bullshit. I got to pump gas. I'm still thinking about all of that. I'm still factoring in all of these expenses into my mind. So she sees that I'm a little stressed out. Um, and then when it came time for me to pay her, she ended up just asking for 6,600 for everything. So that was with the vehicle and that was with the license plate, the tag, the title registration, 6,600. So just right there, I saved $57. And I was like, "Oh my God, yes, thank you so much." Y'all, a win is a win. $57? Baby, that's groceries, that's gas, that's some. $57? A win is a win. Okay, I'm gonna take that. $57, that pays for my dog's food for 2 months. Okay, I'm taking them $57. I said, "Oh, gracias, muchas gracias." Y'all, I took my little $57, I put it right back in my pocket, baby. I needed that. So, how did I budget for that vehicle? Sacrificed a lot. I knew way ahead, months in advance, that I was going to go through this process and that I wanted to have options. Y'all, when you have options, you have freedom. Remember that. When you have options, you have freedom. When you don't have options, that's when you get stuck. When you get stuck in a contract that is not beneficial to you, when you get stuck in a car that is going to break down on you because you didn't have options, because you didn't give yourself enough time, because you didn't give yourself um, enough discipline, you didn't research, you didn't, take the time or the energy, you didn't have the know-how to get a mechanic, to get somebody that you trusted to come with you. When you have options, you have power. So I basically, just saved my money. I knew that I was going to go through this process, and I knew that I wanted to be as safe as possible because this is going to be a work car. I'm going to be transporting other people in this work car. I need this vehicle. I need this vehicle to work 100%, y'all. And it's not. I knew it wasn't going to be a brand new car. It was going to have miles on it. So I needed to do my absolute best that I possibly could. That's why I went through all of the great lengths in the car buying process. At the end, let me see. I made the purchase for on Friday. The next day, literally the next day, mechanic was right here doing the maintenance on the car, doing the tune up, brand new. Feels fantastic. No noise, no lights, no nothing. In 3,000 miles, I'll be doing the oil change and then we'll do another diagnostic on it. We're good here. So I went through all of that, but it was all worth it. It was definitely all worth it. And I do encourage you guys to become more informed with any purchase that you make. Y'all, there's ants, these mosquitoes are biting me. This is a lot right now. But I do encourage you guys to become informed consumers. Don't get got, y'all. Sorry, there's a ant that got up on my phone. That's my cue to leave. But be informed, do your research, take the time, know that as soon as you walk onto that car lot, the reason that they ask you, are you buying cash or are you financing? You haven't even looked at the car. You don't even know if the car works. They don't even know if the car works. They haven't even turned it on. They look at you like a dollar sign. Don't tell them nothing. This is what you're going to tell them next time you hear. are you going to do cash or finance? You're going to say something along the lines of, well, I don't know. Can I see if I like the car first? I got to like the car first. I don't know yet. Or you can say something like, I don't know. I'm evaluating. Cut it, keep it neutral, no emotion. Um, it's a game, y'all. Play the game. But you hold the power. You are the one that's gonna pay money. So I hope this video helped you guys. I know this has been a long video. I hope this has helped you and the car buying process. Some other things that I wanted to talk about before I leave: extended warranty that the used car dealership offers you. Don't take it. Do not take it. You want to know why they're offering you the extended warranty? Because they know that car is going to fuck up. And who's stuck paying the extended warranty? You. Get your mechanic first, know exactly what's going on with that car, and then you can buy your own warranty with a company that you have done your research on. Whenever you give a down payment on a vehicle, really read through all of that. Take your time. Do not rush to sign those papers just because you need a car and you're excited and you saw how clean the car looks on the outside. Y'all, they're just trying to lock you into some monthly payments. And that down payment that you're giving, chances are they're hiding it underneath all those fees and they're going to pocket that down payment. I'm just letting you know right now. That's why I decided not to go with that first dealership car, because I said they want $5,000 out of me. Do you know how hard I worked for those $5,000 just for them to try to bamboozle me? They got the wrong one. Hell no, y'all getting these 5 grand. Someone else is going to get this 5 grand. The hell? And it's going to go to good use. Do the math. Do the math. How much are you paying per month and for how many months? I guarantee you, if you're having if you have a high APR, you're paying a lot more for that car, double triple. The best method to buy a vehicle finance is if you already have a really good established relationship with your bank and they get you pre-approved for a loan because their APR, their interest rate is lower, especially a credit union like Navy Federal. I think it's like 6%. But I understand not everybody has that type of relationship. But again, if you are an informed consumer, maybe you don't have that option right now, but you could in 6 months. You could in 6 months if you plan. Do your own VIN research. We talked about that. Stop it, puppy. Test drive. We talked about that. Take notes during your test drive because you forget. You do so many test drives, you forget. Assess the value of the car using the VIN, the mileage, and the work needed. We talked about that. All right, guys. So this pretty much concludes today's video. Thank you guys so much for sitting here. I hope that this has helped you. Do not feel defeated. Don't feel like you don't know what you're about to get yourself into. Be informed, take the time, do your research, learn about salesman psychology, car dealership psychology. Y'all, I need to get out of here. These mosquitoes are eating me up, y'all. Okay, guys, thank you so much. I love you. Bye.